أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين ثم الصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ومولانا ومقتدانا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم. Dear and respected mu'mineen, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Respected brothers and sisters, in this series of the episodes and sessions that we are going to have with you, we are going to inshallah talk about some of the virtues and fada'il of Lady Fatimah Zahra salamullahi alayha due to the occasion and the martyrdom anniversary of this great lady. And of course, first of all, I should offer my condolences on the martyrdom anniversary of this lady to you all, brothers and sisters. I hope that we will inshallah receive the shafa'ah of this great lady on the day of Qiyamah, inshallah ta'ala. Brothers and sisters, one of the very, very significant virtues and merits of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's satisfaction in the seerah and the conduct of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha, particularly in her religious conduct. We see that Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Holy Quran says that يَهْدِي بِهِ اللَّهُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ رِضْوَانَهُ سُبُلَ السَّلَامِ وَيُخْرِجُهُم مِّنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ بِإِذْنِهِ وَيَهْدِيهِمْ إِلَى صِرَاطٍ مُسْتَقِيمٍ. Rida Allah, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's satisfaction, is very important to the extent that it is the final objective of our life. Because whatever we do in this world, we should gain by these actions that we perform Rida Allah ta'ala, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's satisfaction. So that's why the one who try to achieve and gain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's ridayat or satisfaction, he will be guided. So the sign of guidance for a person, according to the Holy Quran, is what? يَهْدِ بِهِ اللَّهُ مَنِ اتَّبَعَ رِضْوَانَهُ سُبُلَ السَّلَامِ. So, then when it comes to the riwayat, the ahadith of the Holy Prophet ﷺ, particularly when it comes to the personality and the characteristics of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha, we have very meaningful and beautiful sayings from the Prophet ﷺ regarding this lady, that some of them I can mention today for you, brothers and sisters. The Prophet ﷺ says that إِنَّ ابْنَتِي فَاطِمَةَ مَلَأَ اللَّهُ قَلْبَهَا وَجَوَارِحَهَا إِيمَانًا وَيَقِينًا إِلَى مُشَاشِهَا فَتَفَرَّغَتْ لِطَاعَةِ اللَّهِ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. The Prophet ﷺ says that Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we can say that, fill the wujud and the existence of Lady Zahra salamullah alayha, both her soul and body, with iman, with faith. And that is why he says that فَتَفَرَّغَتْ لِطَاعَةِ اللَّهِ تَعَالَى عَزَّ وَجَلَّ. That's why this lady is always busy worshipping and obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. According to the Prophet ﷺ, the whole life of Lady Zahra salamullah alayha is nothing but ita'atullah ta'ala, obedience to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, obeying Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and worshipping and trying to achieve the satisfaction of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by all her deeds and actions. And this is the way that the Prophet ﷺ introduces his daughter, Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha. In another beautiful narration, it is narrated from the Prophet ﷺ saying that لو كان الحسن شخصا لكان فاطمة بل هي أعظم إن فاطمة ابنتي خير أهل الأرض عنصرا وشرفا وكرما. Allahu Akbar. The Prophet ﷺ says that if goodness and beauty can be manifested in a body of a person, in a kind of physical body, we can say, in a kind of personal kind of manifestation, and that would be Lady Zahra Salamullah alayha. All the beauties, all the goodness, if they manifest themselves into a body, and that body would be the body of Lady Zahra Salamullahi alayha. And then the Prophet says that rather the Lady Zahra is more superior, more virtuous, more afdal, and better, we can say, than this example that was given. Because of what? Because the Prophet says that إن ابنتي فاطمة خير أهل الأرض. She is the best creature among the creatures, we can say. She is the best personality, or let's say person, among all the people, among all mankind. Sharafan wa karaman, in terms of dignity, in terms of sharafa, in terms of azama, dignity, chastity, respect, and karama. In all these kind of good characteristics, Lady Zahra is the best one. So this is the saying of the Prophet ﷺ. We know that whatever Prophet ﷺ says is not opposed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will, opposed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's sayings and, let's say, ayat and verses of the Holy Quran, because whatever he says is completely in accordance with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wishes and wills from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So these are some of the sayings of the Prophet regarding the characteristics of Lady Zahra, regarding the azama and the virtues and the merits of Lady Zahra Salamullahi alayha. And again, brothers and sisters, we know that Rida Allah Ta'ala is the most significant thing in our lives that we should achieve. All the good deeds that we perform in this life, the main objective, the main purpose of all these things should be what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's satisfaction. As we see in the Holy Quran, it is said that قال الله هذا يوم ينفع الصادقين صدقهم لهم جنات تجري من تحتها الأنهار خالدين فيها أبدا رضي الله عنهم ورضوا عنه ذلك الفوز العظيم. Says that all these Jannat, the blessings and the ni'mat and the bounties of Jannah and paradise, are all for the Sadiqeen, for Mu'mineen, for the virtuous people, for the truthful people. Because of what? Because radiyallahu anhum wa radu an. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is satisfied with them, and they are satisfied with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is fawzul azim, and this is, we can say, the greatest virtue and the greatest victory for these people. So the greatest kind of objective of life can be what? Rida Allah Ta'ala, according to the Holy Quran. أَفَمَنِ اتَّبَعَ رِضْوَانَ اللَّهِ كَمَنْ بَاءَ بِسَخَطٍ مِّنَ اللَّهِ وَمَأْوَاهُ جَهَنَّمُ وَبِئْسَ الْمَصِيرُ. In this beautiful ayah again, as chapter Ali Imran, ayah 162, we see again that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that those people who try to achieve Rida Allah Ta'ala, they should never be considered as those people who, for example, with whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is displeased and not satisfied. Anyhow, these are the ayat of the Holy Quran that focuses and emphasizes a lot on the importance of Rida Allah Ta'ala and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's satisfaction. Now let's see that when it comes to the Lady Zahra Salamullahi alayha, how Lady Zahra Salamullahi alayha tries to achieve this Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's satisfaction in her life. What are some of the exemplary kind of conduct of Lady Zahra Salamullahi alayha that can teach us very great lessons in our lives? So by following Lady Zahra Salamullahi alayha's lifestyle, we could achieve also this Rida Allahi Ta'ala. The first important event in which we see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's satisfaction in the life of Lady Zahra Salamullahi alayha is her marriage to Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam. We know that the first question that Lady Fatima Salamullahi alayha asked about Amir al-Mu'mineen from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was this, that is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala satisfied with this marriage or not? Is the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam satisfied? So the satisfaction or Rida Allahi ta'ala was the main concern of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha in her marriage to Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi. Once she understood that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is satisfied with this marriage, then she smiled. It is narrated in the history, and then she accepted this marriage. So this is a very important lesson that we can take from Lady Zahra. Our sisters should remember, should always remind themselves of this great lesson of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha, that the first question and the most important concern of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha in her marriage was what? Rida Allahi ta'ala, not anything else. So, and then the other kind of instances that we see in Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha's life is, there are many, just some of them we can mention. When we look at the life of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha, we see that Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala introduces the household of the Prophet, particularly Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha, in that beautiful ayah of the chapter Dahr or Al-Insan, that وَيَطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. Here we see that Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha performed infaq. You know, it is the very great example of infaq, that you do it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, even if you are really thirsty, hungry, because for the first day they gave this iftar, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا. On the first night, a miskin came to them and asked for iftar, and they gave iftar to that miskin. وَيَتِيمًا, and the second day yatim came. And the third day, asir. A very important point I should mention here, brothers and sisters, that sometimes we may think that this asir was also Muslim. But we know that a Muslim cannot be asir. In Islam, particularly those days, asir were always non-Muslims. And the third day, the iftar of Lady Zahra and Ahlul Bayt alayhim as-salatu was-salam, in which they were really thirsty, hungry, because for 3 days they fast, and of course they were really in dire need of that iftar on the third day. So they gave it to a non-Muslim, a disbeliever, who was an asir, because Quran says that asiran. Asir is not Muslim. So for what reason they gave this to Allah, to those asir and orphan, and also yatim and miskin? only ala hubbihi, to gain hubbullah ta'ala, because they loved Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This was the reason. They wanted to make, because the one whom you love, you want to make him pleased and satisfied with you. That is why the main reason of this action performed by the Ahlul Bayt, particularly Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha, was what? Ridallahi ta'ala. So, and this is the philosophy and reason behind infaq in Islam, that we should do it for the sake of Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then the other instance of Ridallahi ta'ala in the life of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha that we can mention is this, that when the Holy Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa predicted the events of Karbala and Ashura for his daughter Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha and some of his household, it is said that when the Prophet ﷺ talked about the event of Karbala and what will happen to Lady Zainab salamullahi alayha and Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhim as-salatu was-salam, the very beautiful sentence that is narrated as a reaction of Lady Zahra to his father was this, that قالت يا أبا سلمت وَرَضِيتُ وَتَوَكَّلْتُ عَلَى اللَّهِ تَعَالَى. Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha told her father that رَضِيتُ وَتَوَكَّلْتُ عَلَى اللَّهِ. Said that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is satisfied with, I am also satisfied with. And the only thing that I want to achieve in my life is Ridallahi ta'ala. Even if my great son Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi will be martyred in the desert of Karbala on the day of Ashura, but whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala actually perform, we can say, in this universe, I am satisfied and I am pleased with that. So, and then the last point that we can mention regarding the personality and virtues of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha is this, that the Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha tried her best to support Amir al-Mu'mineen, to defend, we can say, to protect Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali alayhi salatu wassalam, to be a great supportive wife to Amir al-Mu'mineen and all the hardships, difficulties that Amir al-Mu'mineen, the salawatullahi alayhi wasallam, actually had in his life. So why? Because all these things happened in the life of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha just because of the ridallahi ta'ala, because Almighty Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's satisfaction. This was the main thing that Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha was always trying to achieve in her blessed life. So that's why brothers and sisters, particularly our great and honorable mothers and sisters who are attending in these gatherings, my point is to you, sisters, this, that please study the life of Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha, the biography of this great lady, because there are really lots of great lessons that we can take to have a life full of blessings, full of bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and full of ridallahi ta'ala. That is why we can say that Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha is like a role model for all of us, particularly for our daughters, sisters, and wives, that they can take these great lessons from Lady Zahra salamullahi alayha. Thank you very much. Wa akhiru da'wana an alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.